As Leo walked into the school compound and saw the pretty schoolgirls, a smile played on his lips. I think I'm going to enjoy my stay here, he thought to himself. In the bustling city of Lagos, Nigeria, lived a handsome young man named Leo. He was the only son of Madame Clara, a wealthy businesswoman who had lost her husband shortly before Leo's birth. From the moment Leo came into the world, he became Madame Clara's golden boy, her soul's consolation in a life marked by loss. Madame Clara's house was a grand mansion in the exclusive Lekki Phase 1 area. The walls were adorned with expensive artwork, and imported furniture filled every room. It was in this lap of luxury that Leo grew up, never wanting for anything. As Leo grew older, it became clear that Madame Clara's love for her son had no bounds. Whatever Leo wanted, he got. When he was just 5 years old, Leo threw a tantrum in a toy store, demanding the latest video game console. "Mommy, I want it. I want it now." Leo screamed, his face red with anger. Other shoppers looked on in disapproval, but Madame Clara simply smiled and said, "Of course, my darling. Anything for you." She turned to the shop owner and said, "We'll take two, one for his room and one for the living room." This pattern continued throughout Leo's childhood. Whenever he did something wrong, Madame Clara would brush it off, proudly declaring, "My son is always right." This unwavering support, while born from love, would set the stage for a series of events that would change their lives forever. One day, when Leo was 10 years old, Madame Clara's friend Asha came to visit. Asha was a stunning-looking woman with kind eyes who had known Clara since their university days. As they sat in the lavish living room sipping expensive wine, Leo burst in, demanding attention. "Mom, I want to go to Millennium Park next week. Book the tickets now," he ordered, not even acknowledging Asha's presence. Madame Clara beamed at her son. "Of course, my prince. I'll make the bookings right away." As Leo strode out of the room, Asha couldn't hold her tongue any longer. "Clara, you are going to spoil this boy." Madame Clara's smile faded, replaced by a defensive frown. "What do you mean, Asha? I'm just showing my son how much I love him." Asha leaned forward, her voice soft but firm. "Love isn't about giving a child everything they want. It's about teaching them right from wrong, about preparing them for the real world." "The real world?" Madame Clara scoffed. "Leo will never have to worry about the real world. I've made sure of that." Asha shook her head sadly. "Clara, listen to me. I've seen this before. Children who grow up like this struggle when they face real challenges. They don't know how to handle disappointment or failure." But Madame Clara, like she had done with many others who expressed similar worries, dismissed Asha's words. "Nonsense. Leo is perfect just the way he is. He'll never have to face failure because I'll always be there to make sure he succeeds." Asha left that day, her heart heavy with worry for both her friend and the young boy who was being set up for a hard fall. Little did she know that her words would prove prophetic sooner than anyone could have imagined. When Leo was 20, Madame Clara came home one day to find her house help, Grace, crying uncontrollably in the kitchen. Grace was a young woman from a poor family who had been working for Madame Clara for about a year. She was hardworking and quiet, which was why her current state alarmed Madame Clara. "Grace, what on earth is the matter?" Madame Clara demanded, more annoyed than concerned. Through her tears, Grace managed to choke out, "Madam, he got me pregnant." For a moment, Madame Clara stood frozen, her mind refusing to process what she had just heard. Then, instead of listening to Grace or considering the possibility that her son might have done something wrong, Madame Clara flew into a rage. "How dare you?" she screamed, her face contorted with anger. "How dare you lie about my precious son?" Grace fell to her knees, pleading, "Please, madam, I'm not lying. I didn't want to, but he insisted, and I was afraid to lose my job. But Madame Clara wouldn't hear it. You ungrateful witch. After all we've done for you, you are just trying to trap my son, aren't you? To get your hands on our money. After several minutes of this abuse, Madame Clara stopped, breathing heavily. She glared down at the sobbing Grace and spat out, "Get up. We are going to put an end to this nonsense right now." Without a second thought, Madame Clara called her personal doctor. "Doctor, I need you to perform a procedure." Reach deep into her and rip the bastard out. Then she turned to her driver, who had been watching the scene unfold with wide, fearful eyes. "Take this girl to doctor's clinic. Now." As Grace was bundled into the car, still crying and now begging, "Please, madam, please don't do this," Madame Clara turned a deaf ear. In her mind, she was protecting her son, preserving the bright future she had always envisioned for him. As Grace underwent the painful procedure to terminate her pregnancy, she cried and cursed. "By my God, you will be punished, Leo. You and your mother will know no peace for what you've done to me." This incident marked the beginning of a disturbing pattern. Over the next 2 years, Leo impregnated Grace 3 times. Each time, Madame Clara cleaned up the mess, forcing Grace to terminate the pregnancies. She refused to see the monster her son was becoming, always finding ways to justify his actions. "Boys will be boys," she would say to herself, willfully ignoring the pain and trauma she was inflicting on Grace and enabling in her son. After the third incident, Grace finally gathered the courage to leave. As she packed her meager belongings, Madame Clara confronted her. "Where do you think you are going?" Madame Clara demanded. Grace, her eyes red from crying but her voice steady, replied, "I'm leaving, madam. I can't do this anymore. What you and your son have done to me, it's not right." Madame Clara's face hardened. "If you breathe a word of this to anyone, I'll make sure you never work in this city again. Do you understand?" Grace looked at Madame Clara, and for the first time, the older woman saw not fear but pity in the young girl's eyes. "I understand, madam. But remember, every action has its consequences. Someday, you and Leo will have to face yours." With that, Grace walked out of the house, leaving Madame Clara to wrestle with doubts she quickly suppressed. Meanwhile, Leo remained blissfully unaware of the pain he was causing. He continued his carefree lifestyle, partying with friends, spending his mother's money, and treating people as if they existed solely for his pleasure. After graduating from university with mediocre grades, thanks to substantial donations from his mother to the school, Leo had to participate in the 1-year National Youth Service Corps NYSC program. He was posted to a girls' secondary school called Bright Future Secondary School in the western part of Nigeria. The night before he was to leave, Leo lounged in his room, surrounded by expensive gadgets and designer clothes. He was trying to decide whether to pack when Madame Clara knocked on his door. "Leo, my darling, are you ready for tomorrow?" Leo groaned dramatically. "Mom, do I really have to go? Can't you talk to someone? Get me posted somewhere in Lagos instead." Madame Clara sat on the edge of his bed, patting his hand. "I'm sorry, my love, but even I couldn't change this. It's only for a year. Think of it as an adventure." Leo rolled his eyes. Some adventure, stuck in the middle of nowhere, teaching a bunch of village girls. Now, Madame Clara chided gently. "It won't be that bad. And remember, you are my son. You can handle anything." As she left the room, Leo flopped back on his bed, already plotting how to make his year of service as easy and pleasurable as possible. The next morning, as Leo's driver loaded his numerous suitcases into the car, Madame Clara fretted over her son. "Are you sure you have everything? Darling, your ATM card? Your new phone? Leo nodded impatiently. Yes, Mom, I've got everything. Can we go now? As they said their goodbyes, neither of them could have imagined how this year would change their lives forever. This was the first time Leo would be far away from his mother, and the thought initially made him sad. However, his sadness quickly turned to excitement when he arrived at Bright Future Secondary School. As Leo walked into the school compound and saw the pretty schoolgirls, a smile played on his lips. I think I'm going to enjoy my stay here, he thought to himself, already plotting his next conquest. The school principal, Mr. Are, a stern-looking man in his 50s, welcomed Leo. Welcome to Bright Future Secondary School, Mr. Leo. I trust you'll find your stay here both challenging and rewarding. Leo put on his most charming smile. Thank you, sir. I'm looking forward to making a positive impact. Mr. Are nodded approvingly, unaware of the thoughts running through Leo's mind. Excellent. Let's get you settled in, and then I'll show you to your class. After the necessary documentation was completed, Mr. Are led Leo to his assigned classroom. You'll be teaching physics to our senior girls, Mr. Are explained. It's a critical subject for their final exams, so we are counting on you to prepare them well. Leo's eyes lit up at the news. Physics was a subject he knew well from his university studies, and the thought of teaching it to senior girls only added to his excitement. As they entered the classroom, 30 pairs of eyes turned to look at them. Mr. Are cleared his throat. Girls, this is Mr. Leo. He'll be your new physics teacher for this academic year. I expect you to show him the utmost respect and dedication to your studies. Leo scanned the room, noting the admiring glances from many of the girls. Hello, everyone. I'm excited to be here and to help you all excel in physics. I have a feeling this is going to be a great year. A collective sigh seemed to sweep through the classroom, and Leo knew he had them hooked. Among the senior class students were 3 girls, Tammy, Lola, and Ada, the self-proclaimed PGs, prettiest girls in school. As Leo began his first lesson, he made sure to create the perfect first impression. He showcased his intelligence and charm, peppering his lecture with jokes and relatable examples that had the class hanging on his every word. Now, who can tell me about Newton's laws of motion? Leo asked, his eyes scanning the classroom. Lola's hand shot up. Sir, Newton's first law states that an object will remain at rest or in uniform motion in a straight line unless acted upon by an external force. Leo's eyes locked with Lola's. Excellent, Miss Lola, he replied, a coy smile playing on her lips. Well done, Lola. It seems I have some bright students in this class. As the lesson progressed, Leo made sure to engage all the students, but he couldn't help paying extra attention to Lola and her friends. He could see the admiration in their eyes and planned to use it to his advantage. After class, as the students filed out, Tammy, Lola, and Ada lingered behind. Mr. Leo, Ada said, we just wanted to say how much we enjoyed your lesson. Physics has never been so interesting. Leo smiled. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Physics can be fascinating when you approach it the right way. We were wondering, Tammy chimed in, if you might be available for extra tutoring. We want to make sure we are fully prepared for our exams. Leo pretended to consider for a moment, though internally he was thrilled at the opportunity. Well, I suppose I could make some time for dedicated students. Why don't we discuss it more after school tomorrow? The girls nodded eagerly, exchanging excited glances as they left the classroom. Leo couldn't help but feel a sense of triumph. This is going to be easier than I thought, he mused. Over the next few weeks, Leo's reputation as the coolest teacher in school grew. Students looked forward to his classes, and his good looks and charisma were the talk of the school. But it was the PGs, Tammy, Lola, and Ada, who truly had his attention. Leo became the girls' favorite teacher, giving them high marks in his subject. One day after class, Leo called Lola to stay behind. As the other students filed out, Lola approached his desk, her heart racing. "You wanted to see me, Mr. Leo?" she asked, trying to keep her voice steady. Leo smiled, his eyes roaming over her face. "Yes, Lola. I wanted to discuss your last test. You've improved significantly." Lola beamed. "Thank you, sir. I've been studying hard." "I can tell," Leo said, standing up and moving closer to her. "You know, Lola, you are one of my brightest students. I think you have a real future in physics if you want it." Lola blushed, looking down at her feet. "You really think so, sir?" Leo reached out and lifted her chin gently, forcing her to meet his eyes. "I know so. And please, when we're alone, call me Leo." Lola's breath caught in her throat. "Oh, okay, Leo." The moment was interrupted by a knock on the door. It was Mr. Ari, the principal. "Ah, Mr. Leo," he said, looking between Leo and Voya with a slightly furrowed brow. "I hope I'm not interrupting anything." Leo stepped back smoothly. "Not at all, sir. I was just giving Lola some extra encouragement. She's shown remarkable improvement." Mr. Ari nodded, though his eyes still held a hint of suspicion. "I see. Mr. Leo, I must say the improvement in our students' physics course is impressive. Whatever you're doing, it seems to be working." Leo smiled confidently. "Thank you, sir. I believe in making the subject engaging and relatable." As Mr. Ari left, Leo smirked to himself. "If only the principal knew what I'm really up to." Meanwhile, Tammy, Lola, and Ada were huddled in the girls' bathroom, whispering excitedly. "Did you see how Mr. Leo looked at me in class today?" Ada gushed. "I swear he was staring at me the whole time." Tammy rolled her eyes. "Please, he was obviously looking at me. Didn't you notice how he kept using my name in examples?" Lola listened to her friends argue, a secret smile playing on her lips. If only they knew about my private moment with Leo. As the weeks passed, Leo's inappropriate behavior escalated. He began offering private tutoring sessions to the PGs, using this time to flirt and make subtle advances, all thanks to their career-minded parents. During one such session at Timmy's house, Leo sat close to her on the couch, their thighs touching as they pored over a textbook. "So you see," Leo explained, his voice low and intimate, "the force of attraction between two objects is inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them." Tammy nodded, trying to focus on the words but distracted by Leo's proximity. "So, the closer they are, the stronger the attraction." Leo turned to her, their faces inches apart. "Exactly. Can you feel it?" Tammy's breath hitched. I think so." Just then, Tammy's phone buzzed with a text from Ada. "How's the study session going?" The moment broken, Tammy pulled back slightly. Maybe we should take a break." Leo smiled, hiding his frustration. "Of course, we've covered a lot today." As Leo left Tammy's house, he couldn't help but feel a thrill at the game he was playing. He had all three girls wrapped around his finger, each thinking she was special to him. One fateful day, during Miss Bola's biology lesson, Tammy suddenly felt nauseous. She stood up abruptly. "Miss Bola," she said, her face pale, "I don't feel well. May I be excused?" Before Miss Bola could answer, Tammy rushed out of the classroom. Concerned, Miss Bola continued her lesson, but her worry grew when, a few minutes later, Ada also asked to be excused, followed shortly by Lola. After class, Miss Bola found the three girls in the bathroom, all vomiting profusely. "Girls," she said gently, Is everything all right? Should we go to the school clinic? The three friends exchanged nervous glances before nodding silently. At the school clinic, Dr. Nagoji, a kind-faced woman in her 40s, examined the girls one by one. As she finished with Lola, the last of the three, a grave expression settled on her face. Girls, she said carefully, I need to ask you something, and I want you to be honest with me. Is there any chance any of you might be pregnant? The silence that followed was deafening. Dr. Naguji's suspicion had been correct. She sent their samples to the lab, and all three girls tested positive for pregnancy.